topic natin is about how to automate our bank reconciliation. It is a very common task for most of the accountants or analysts to create bank reconciliation regularly. Just to give us an idea or the context of what we need to accomplish. So this is just a typical bank reconciliation. We have our cash balance as per the bank statement, and then we're gonna pick the balance, of course, from our bank statement, and then we have open items here, normal open items, deposit in transit, outstanding checks, and we have the adjusted cash balance. And now for our books, we also have our balance per books, and then we'll add the book balance depending on the items that are not yet in our books but already in the bank. So that's deposits collected by the bank and interest income if we have any, and service charges. And then we would arrive at the cash balance, and then we will compare reconciling those two adjusted balances to zero. First thing, I just want to show to you kung ano yung structure ng ating bank report. So we'll work on January. This is an actual BDO statement account. But of course, the numbers are anonymized. No? But the structure are very similar. No? We'll X this out. Don't save. And then let's look at how our bank account looks like. So let's go to January. So this is how our books looks like. So actually, we have more flexibility or more control on how we can make descriptions of our book transactions as relating to our bank records. So as much as possible, I advise that please provide descriptions similar to what we can see in our bank statement, so we can easily reconcile transactions for both items. So if we say it's a deposit for the bank and the bank says the description is deposit, then might as well put deposit description here in our books, and so on and so forth. No. Okay, so that's how our book looks like. Let's see how it's how are we going to create those bank reconciliation. So we have our steps here. First is okay, first we already did this, inspect the bank and the book, connect to bank CSV. Okay, we will connect first to the bank CSV file, and then we're gonna transform, remove 5 rows, first row as headers, and so on. So we will come back to this steps. So first is we'll connect to the bank CSV file. So data, get data. Okay, the bank is a CSV. Okay, so we'll choose CSV. Then go to where your files are saved. Mine is here. So I'll pick January. I'll pick import. Okay, so we'll transform the data. Okay, so let's go to our steps. So connect, excuse me, and transform. Okay, we'll transform this file. So first, it says remove rows, 5 rows. So 5 rows, it means yung 5 rows, the first 5 rows, because our header starts here on the 6th row, so we have to delete those first 5 rows. So we can go to home, or we can go to, yeah, we can go to home, remove rows, remove top rows, and number of rows, we'll say 5. Okay. The next, use first row as headers. So we will use first row as headers here. Okay, so now our first row are now is now our header names. Next is remove 4 columns. Okay, we'll remove columns. So I think this one here. Hold down Control to select another columns that you want to remove. This one here, this and this. All are blank columns. No? So to delete all those rows, you will just have to press delete. But selecting those four rows, you have to hold down Control key after you select the first column. So just press delete. So our steps are being recorded here. Remove columns. Filter out null in posting date. So let's go to our posting date. We have null values here at the bottom. We just have to filter that off. So untick null. Okay, so it's beginning to shape our data very well. And then load the table, filter out. So, but first of all, we'll just give this a name. So it's a long name, so let's make it shorter. Bank January 22. Okay, so we're gonna load it. Close and load. Let's load it as a table so we can see. Okay, so this is now our bank file looks like. So nakita nyo, no, previously yung CSV file natin, it has so many blank columns, and then we have to take out a couple of rows, and we have created transformations. So now this is our bank records in Excel file. So let's proceed. What we have to do next? Okay, so steps to follow. Now after that, we've dealt with bank. Now we're going to connect with the book naman. So same, almost the same step. Data, get data from file. Yung book natin, it's in Excel workbook. So exercises, let's go to book. You just have to go to your file. So import. So this is our book. Let's go transform. So let's give it a name first, similar to what we have in January 2022. So, okay. And then connect to book, transform, rename, load as table. So we're not doing anything much for our book kasi ano na siya, it's already in tabular model, medyo clean naman siya, but we'll do other transformations when we try to merge it. Okay, so we'll close and load to again as a table, new worksheet. Okay, so we'll see how it looks like. So okay, so that's our book. We'll just name this bank recon. So okay, we'll put it here. So we already have book and then the bank. So for here, cash balance as per bank statement. So what we need to pick the value is this one here, the 43,000. Kasi ito yung ending value niya for the month of January. And for the book, similarly, ganun din. We need to pick this ending balance for the book and place the formula here. So let's do first for the bank. So we just use the formula indexed. Ang syntax niya, tatlo lang: array, which is the values that you would like to return, and then the row number, and then the column number. So ang array will go to the bank And then ito yung values that we would like to return, no? So that's the array, comma, next is the row number. So bibilangin natin count we'll use count Ang ibig sabihin lang nito is binibilang natin ilang rows ka ba meron, and then we highlight that one, and then we closed. So ang ibig sabihin lang ng rows nito, kung ilang rows meron siya, in this case 11 rows siya, so 11 rows. So ang pipikapin niya is yung the last row that is in this array. So if we click enter, now we're getting that value, no? The 43,626. Ganun din sa book balance, the formula would be the same. We'll use indexed. Ang array natin is this one here, comma, then count. Then we highlight it again, close parenthesis again. So let's format this. So ang value that we are getting is 119,018.08. So that's the same. So meron tayong dito na differences. So very clearly hindi sila balanse. So what are we going to do next? We'll have to fill in yung mga ating recon items, reconciling items as we call it. So sa bank statement, ang ating mga reconciliation items are deposit in transit and outstanding checks. For deposit in transit, ang ibig sabihin nun is na-deposit na nung bank, na-deposit na sa books natin. Let's say ako yung company, I sent a deposit to the bank, na-deposit ko na, pero hindi pa nare-record ng bank. For purposes of reconciliation, we have to book it, we have to record it on the bank side. So ganun din naman ako outstanding checks, similar description or definition. Our books already recorded the checks, but those checks are not yet presented in the bank. So in this case, we would have to book it on the bank side. So those are the recon items for the banks. Let's do it one by one. Let's do deposit in transit first. I already pick up the steps. So these are the steps for the DIT or deposit in transit, steps to follow. Get the beginning balances for the book. Oh, yeah, we did that. So compute for the recon items, no? First is we need to merge book with bank, okay? Merge book with bank. So let's open our query. Ang sabi niya doon, merge book with bank. So we have to choose book first. And I'll just move my controls away para I could select. And then I'll choose the merge queries. Okay, merge queries as new, no? So that we will get a new query out of that. So we'll choose book. Let's go back to our steps. Merge book with bank. And then ang ating joins is description debit, description, choose description, hold down control key and debit. So ang ibig sabihin lang nito, we'll just complete this first. Merge book with bank, bank description credit. So with bank, description, hold down control, then credit. So anong ginagawa ng merge, no? And then our join kind here is the default, the left outer. So ang ginagawa lang dito ng ating merge using left outer is kino-compare niya yung book using the description, using the column description and debit, actually i-add niya yun, no? Let's say itong deposit na to, deposit and 10,000. So itong dalawang description na to, it would be added. Deposit 10,000, meron ba akong equivalent description on the bank side na deposit 10,000? So meron siya rito kasi i-add niya rin dito, okay, you have one here, deposit 10,000. So pag makita ito ni Power Query, okay, so these two here, deposit 10,000, deposit 10,000 is reconciled. We can reflect that in our report. Okay, so ganito ang ating ang ating merge options and also the way we merge table using those two columns as our key combinations. So we'll just click OK. So nagkaroon tayong another query, we will just rename it DIT, no, for the deposit and transit. So let's look to our steps. Okay, we already used left outer join, filter deposit only. Okay, sabi niya filter deposit only. So let's go dun sa description. We will filter deposit lang kasi ang hinahanap lang natin is open items for deposit. Okay, so lahat na ito na yung mga deposits natin, no, for the book side. So, kung makikita natin, nagkaroon tayo ng table at the end. So, this is the bank information. So, if we click through that, makikita natin, okay, itong first item na to is being reconciled with the transactions here from the book. Kasi meron siyang laman. But if we go to the next item, we can see it's empty. So ibig sabihin, so these three items here, we don't have corresponding items in the bank. So ano siya, empty. That's why it's empty. So let's go remove columns. So let's try to remove columns. Anong columns ang i-remove natin? Of course, itong credit. We don't need the credit side kasi it's a deposit. Okay, we don't need the running balance too, or hold down control key, and we don't need the check number because it's a deposit. Let's press delete. So we've removed three columns. Let's expand. So this is the to expand the merge table, we just have to click this double arrow here. So ngayon, tatanungin tayo ni Power Query, okay, for those items down in the bank side, anong column ang gusto mong i-add? So first, we just have to unpick this regional column. So let's go back. Select columns. So 3 columns ang dapat natin i-select. So let's unselect this, select all. First of all, we need the posting date. We need the description. And we need the credit amount. Kasi it's on the other side of the bank. Sa books, we have the debit entry, but the back side, we have the credit amount. So let's click OK. So now we can see yung first item talaga is already deposited in the bank. Kita natin, it was deposited on January 10, and then the book records it on January 5. But these 3 deposits which was made at the end of the month, it's not yet reflected in the bank. That's why in transit, meaning it's on its way pa. Hindi pa siya na re-record sa bank, pero it's on its way. So we're okay with this one. Let's see. Rename query, load as table. We already renamed it. Load as table. Close and load to. We'll choose table, new worksheet. Okay. So now we have the deposit and transit query here. We load it as a table. So since this is an Excel table, what we can do is we can just add total rows. Total rows, and then dito sa debit na to, we can just add total rows. Sum. So ibig sabihin, sinasum niya all those details. That's why it's 110,000. So to get the difference from the two, we'll just create a formula here, add deposit in transit. 110 yung dineposit ng book, pero ang bank only deposited 10, so it should be, we should arrive at 100,000 pa, no? So equals, ma-minus lang natin itong dalawang items. Minus natin yung na-deposit ng bank, 100,000 ang ating deposit in transit. An addition to our bank statement. Kasi wala pa siya sa bank. That's why we need to add this amount to the bank statement. Okay, now it's on the reverse naman. We'll look at the deposit we'll look at the outstanding checks, but the principle and then the process is very similar. So let's go to our steps. Outstanding checks, steps to follow, merge book with bank, same step, but we would have to select 3 columns na to identify which of those transactions or records needs to reconcile. No? Description, credit, check for the book, and then description, debit, check number. Napapansin natin, on this side, for the book, it's credit, of course, kasi that's the check. We credit entry the check, but in the bank it's a debit entry. Okay, so let's open our Power Query editor, and then we will merge again a new query. So it says here merge book with bank, so we will select book. Merge as new, no? Select merge as new always. So we'll get a new query. And then we'll select book, bank, okay? So we'll go back again to our steps. We will select description, credit, check. Description, hold down control, credit, and check. And then the back, sa bank side naman, description, is ito credit, ikaw naman debit ka on the bank side, and of course check number. So that's how we select, no, yung ating key columns. So dapat yung sequence niya is also correct. So now join kind, marami siyang join kind dito, but we will always use the left outer, no? All from first, matching from second. That's the meaning of left outer. So let's click OK. So now we get another table here. Ito yung bank table. So that's why we're getting table. So, but that is all for the transactions. We need to, what our next step? We already used the left outer join. We need to filter only, no? We need to filter withdrawal only. Okay, we need to filter itong mga withdrawal items lang dito. So we can select it. Okay. So we have 4 withdrawals. What's next? Remove columns. So remove columns, 2 columns. So we don't need the debit side. We don't need the running balance, but definitely we need the check number because this is a unpresented checks or outstanding checks. So let's press delete and then expand. Let's expand, untick this one, select columns, 4 columns ang select natin. Of course, the posting date, the description, of course. In our book credit, this one will use debit, and of course, the check number. So those 4 columns we need to choose. Click OK. So as you can see, 3 checks here from the book were presented already in the bank. But 1 item, this one here is not presented yet. So let's rename query and load to as table. So we are going to rename our query as outstanding checks. outstanding checks. Just a shortcut. No? Just click enter, and then we will close and load to close and load as table to a new worksheet. Click OK. Now we have outstanding checks. Actually, we can filter out this tree para lang lalabas na lang talaga is yung outstanding checks. If that is your preference, actually we can just filter it out, choose the blanks, and then total row, sum. So we will just be getting this one here. So let's do that. Filter out natin, but in case you wanted to see those checks that have already been presented, so that's why we decided to print this out. But in case you don't want to see it, you can just filter it out. So blanks na lang. So para pagka nagano tayo, nag-reference tayo, equals minus, okay? Kasi kailangan we need to deduct the outstanding checks from the bank statement. So we just have to select it. Okay, so these two, we're done with it. Next is add deposits collected by the bank. So we can have several open items, but these are the open items that are relatively familiar with us who's doing bank reconciliation. And if you have any other recon items or floating items that you want to reconcile, the steps are very similar. Okay. So next, deposits collected by the bank. So let's see what are the steps. Okay, bank recon, bank collection. So it means si bangko nakakolekta siya ng something, probably ang ating customer from the province or from the other regions or from the other country, nagbayad sila diretso sa bank. So that's why we are not sometimes aware, or we are not yet informed, or there is just a delay in the submission of the payment certificate or payment notice to our records or to our accounting and finance people. That's why we haven't recorded it in our books. So that is the nature of this recon item. So steps to follow: merge bank with book. Okay, so this time around we flip it on the other side. Instead of book, merge book to bank, this time we will merge bank with book. Okay, let's open our Power Query editor. So we will create another merge items. Let's do this, merge bank with book. So meaning we will choose bank first, no? Bank first, merge as new. You would like to create a new query, and then we'll select the book na here, na para para ano na, we're finished. Merge bank with book. Okay, so what is our column? Description credit. Description, choose description, hold down, and then choose credit. Is that right? Description credit. And then on the other side, description debit side. Okay? So kasi si bank ang una nakaka-receive ng deposit. So pagka nagkaroon siya ng deposit, the entry there is credit. And tayo naman pagka nalaman na natin na may deposit yung ating customer sa ating bank, we book it as a debit to our account. Okay, so again, we'll be using the left outer. That's our correct join kind. And then we'll press OK. As you can see now, the process is just very similar with each of the open items. You'll get the hang of it as we uh, create more open items to reconcile. So okay, so let's proceed. What's our next is filter begins with deposit only. Okay. So as you can see, this is our bank side. Pag kasi bank is naka-receive ng payment from our customers, we can see a pattern, no, doon sa description. In this case, ang ginagawa ng ating bank is naglalagay siya deposit and then hyphen, no? So that's the pattern. So ang gagawin natin, we will filter the items in our bank site, only those that begins with deposit and then hyphen. Para lang we would only see items relating to those collections by the bank relating to our customers. So text filters begins with deposit hyphen. So basta't may ganyan siya, alam natin these are collections from our customers. So okay. So isa lang yung nakolekta ni bank. So set, remove columns. So we don't need this. We don't need the debit amount. We need the credit. We don't need the running. We don't need the currency. We don't need the check number. So we're deleting 5 columns. So next, expand and then select 2 columns. We would need to expand. And we'll just have, untick this. We'll just select 2 columns. I think 3. Description and the debit side. No? Yung tatlo. So let's click. So we know that's not yet there. So that's why it's all null. So let's rename this as the bank collection. And rename and load it as table. So home, close and load to, close and load to. Table, new worksheet, click OK. So these are bank collection. Again, we can add total rows, no? Sum. Dito naman is the sum. Okay, so far ngayon wala siya, pero kung meron siya, dapat we would need to deduct this one. You can deduct this or you can just filter out. Okay. So let's go to bank reconciliation. So we need to add the deposit. So equal sign, bank collection, this one minus this one. So enter 15,000. Let's format this one. Okay. Why are we adding this? Because we already have it in the bank because the customers pay directly to the bank, but in our books, it's not yet recorded. That's why in our reconciliation, we are adding this 15,000 to our records. Let's see what else do we need to create. Bank collection, service charges. So service charges, almost the same as bank collection, is merge bank with book. Okay, so let's do this. The service charges, again, we have to open our Power Query, double click. Let's look again. Merge bank with book. Okay, merge bank with book. So of course, we'll select bank first. Merge queries as new. Steps are almost similar. So ganun lang. Just keep on repeating if you have open items that you think that you need to capture dun sa ating bank reconciliation. So we have bank here. We'll select the book here. And this is service charged. So sa book side, description and debit. Description and debit. Why debit? Kasi pagka nagde-deduct si bank sa atin, it's on the debit side. Sa atin naman, description, pag nagde-deduct tayo ng mga service charges or any expenses, we do it on the credit side. So ito pala, kung napapansin nyo, 1, 2. So that's only the sequence number of the order that we select the column. So this is our first column we selected, and this is the second column that we select. So same here. So alam natin yung sequence or the order. So again, we're not going to do anything here. It's left outer. Left outer. So all from first matching from second. So if we select, makikita natin there are so many choices, no? But for bank recon, I make it a point that we'll only be looking at the left outer. Okay, so let's press OK. So we are computing for the service charge. Okay, use left outer join. Filter begins with service charge debit only. Service charge debit kasi si bank, pagka nagkakaroon siya ng mga charges, ito ang kanyang description. We can just select it here, service charge debit. Okay, so we have two. What's our next? Remove columns. Remove columns. 5 columns that we have to remove. So MasterCard, we don't need that. We don't need the credit amount, running balance, we don't need. We don't need currency, and we don't need the number. So delete. What else? Expand and select 3 columns. Expand, again, we untick this. We untick select all columns. We select posting date, description, and credit side, because it's a debit side for the bank. So let's click OK. So we can see this one here that's already been recorded. So rename query, load to as table. So let's rename query to service charges. Enter. Closed and load. Table and new worksheet. So pareho pa rin. We'll just click and load to. Click OK. So this is a table. We can have total rows, or yeah, we'll select total rows din dito, no? Sum. So as we can see, no, yung isang service charge that was posted by the bank, we already posted it on the 10th of January, but this one here, hindi pa natin nabubook. That's why we need to book it. If you just want to select the value here, we can filter out those that already been recorded. So para yung blanks na lang ang natitira. So since that's a service charge, it's equal sign minus, and that total. So there you go. We'll just copy the formula. So there you go. We can see that it's now reconciled. We can see the value here is already 0. I just created a formula here at the top para maging dynamic din yung report natin here. So cash balance as of bank statement as of January 31, 2022, and also for this one. So this is my formula. And then what I did is I just concatenate. No, I just add this one with this text. So the reason why I did that, then we can just hide it. No, we can just hide the formula, or yeah, you can just hide, or what you can do is you can just take out the color. So then, so ang gagawin natin, now this is January, no? This is the January report. What are we going to do is we are going to connect this to our February report. So I just want to show you that it is going to be dynamic. It is going to be automated. First is to connect the February file. We would have to change our source data. And then we will just click refresh. That's it. So we don't have to do the same steps over and over again. So we would be getting the beginning balances. We would be calculating for the deposit in transit, outstanding checks for the bank, and then for the book is we'll get the ending balances for the book, and then we'll get the open items for the bank collections not yet in our books, and also the bank service charges. So let's open the Power Query. We'll just double click any of our queries here. I'll just expand it para you can see our queries here. So we have several queries. You just have to double click. How are we going to change our source data? Let's go back to our bank query, no? So as you can see, dun sa first step natin, we call it sourced. So this is the sourced code applied by Power Query where our data is located. So we're looking out the bank. That's our source. We will have to click dito sa gear icon. So that's the bank. So our bank is in CSV file, and now it's still looking at January, no? January 22. We can browse it, or if you know the bank account details, you can just actually change it from here. But for me, I'll browse it para makita natin kung paano mag-change ng source through browsing for the file. So my file is this one here, February 22. So let's import. As you can see, the file name changes. It's now February. So that's why I mentioned kanina na you can just change the last file name extension in case you know it very well. So click OK. Okay, so that's it. We're done with it. We already changed the source node. Then you can just change the data as well. Again, this is going to be a new data file, no? Kasi it is for the month of February. And then for book naman, same steps. We'll just go to the source code. We'll go to the gear icon. Now it's an Excel workbook. Again, that's January. Let's browse for it. Exercise, that's for book. This is the file. I'm going to import it. As you can see, it's now changed to February. So click OK. Then I'll just change the file name to February. Okay, so that's our file. We've already changed the source code. All we need to do is let's close and load it first. Okay, it's just recalculating. Let's go to the bank recon. We can see this one here. The date already changed. Cash balance as per bank statement for February 28, and also for this one. And the balances already changed. And also for this one. And then we will just click refresh para mag-recalculate yung ating mga merge data. So we go to data and refresh to all. And then let's see kung magsi-zero ba siya. No? If we would be able to calculate correctly, our recon items, and we should be reconciled for this report. So let's click refresh tool, and let's see it in action how it gets reconciled. So, yep, it reconciled successfully. It runs yung mga ano natin, merge tables, it refreshes, and that's it. We're done for the February bank reconciliation. We don't have to do anything about it. It's just a template already that we've created. We don't have to go through the same steps over and over again. And for the for the month of March, April, May, until December, until the next year, we can use this report template. So it will save us a lot of time, especially if we have lots of bank accounts. Let's say if you have 10 bank accounts that you need to reconcile, you're going to save a lot of time. So thank you so much, and see you next time. Bye-bye.